Good. All right. So, everybody doing all right? Good? Okay. All right. We got Ashawn Robinson. He'll be not at practice. He'll be out. So, that's really it. I think everybody else trying to do something here today as we push forward. So, obviously a big day for us here, trying to wrap up the week with the situational installation here today. Red area, a big part of it, kind of wrap up some of the third down stuff that we started yesterday. Early down is in, and just keep pushing forward to get ready for the game. So, we know we got a big challenge in front of us. We know, they're a great team. They play really well together. They play complementary football all three phases. They're operating at a high level, and they do a good job of controlling the game. So there's going to be different facets of this game that will be really important for us to try to do a really good job with. Certainly, their defensive line is very productive, very dominant up front. That'll be a big challenge for us there to, do everything we can to get the run game going and also obviously keep the pocket clean for the passing game. On the other side of the ball, defensively, we know they're going to run the ball at us. We got a couple moving parts on defense, so we've got to do a good job of making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do to get that under control. And obviously, they have some great players. Adams, we know he's going to get the ball downfield, and then trying to deal with Aaron Rodgers. So really, really talented team that we got to play here. And, we're excited to be home, excited to be in front of our fans, go out and, try to play the best game we can. So what do we got?
Is Ashawn headed for IR?
To IR? No. Right now we're just, we're trying to do everything we can to get him to play.
Jamal Agnew, he had, a little bit of a rough year, I guess, the injury and, fumble stuff early on, but he had the nice return early, had one last week. What does it mean to him just to finish on a positive note and, show that he's, still an effective weapon in return?
Yeah. Obviously, I think he's a dynamic player. He can turn, any play into a big play at any time. I think he's a difficult guy to defend in the coverage units, in special teams. He obviously can help us on defense and, a couple things that we had for him on offense last week. So from that aspect of it, he's a versatile guy that can do a lot of different things and certainly very dangerous with the ball in his hands. So, it's good to see him out there. I think he gives a great charge to the team, and we all know he can make those big plays. So we're excited when he's out there, and I think that encourages and lifts everybody up to do their job a little bit better, in those situations. So it'd be great to get another, obviously a big play out of him this weekend.
You've talked about balance and controlling the tempo of the game on offense. When you look at this Packers offense, is that something what you're trying to build? And I think Aaron Rodgers had a comment too yesterday about not needing to throw 40 touchdowns to be a successful team.
Yeah, I think if you even just look at the the Monday night game is a great example of what that is, what that looks like. I think Green Bay's doing a great job of just kind of doing whatever they need to do each week to win, whether it's the run game, whether it's throwing it a little bit more, playing complementary football. But just in regards to, to that question, I think Monday is exactly that. I think obviously Green Bay had some turnovers early in the game, some things that kind of can skew a game or get a game turned lopsided pretty quick. I think their defense answered pretty well with, playing the run and stopping that from Minnesota. And then, really in the end, Green Bay's run game took over and they, had some big plays, especially in the second half, where they just were able to kind of control it with the run game. And, once you're able to do that as an offense, it opens up the play action game. And then, your third downs are more manageable. And certainly we know they got great skill players and they have a great quarterback. So if they can play like that, it becomes really difficult to try to defend against them. And then complementary to that, their defense is, playing really well at both stopping the run and rushing the quarterback. So all of that, I think, fits together in that category.
Speaking of run games, it seems like your run game, especially the interior line, found a little bit of a rhythm there with Dahl and Wiggins healthy, and now O'Day seemed like he had some good moments last week, especially. Just wondering what your sort of impression is of how those guys have developed over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think really, we've had some moving parts in there, but we really kind of started the year with maybe some variations and some movement, and we thought that was going to be the best thing for us, for our team, to be able to keep that, keep those guys fresh and keep those guys, give those guys experience, because I think they all deserved a chance to play, and, in the end, with some of the injuries that we have, it kind of worked out with pretty positive from that standpoint to have those guys with that experience. And then even when, O'Day then was starting to rotate in and through the offensive line, that gave him some game reps and gave him some experience. And obviously in the situation we're in now, I think those guys have really stepped in and tried to do everything they can to keep that as consistent as possible, both inside and outside, with Crosby too. So I think that's kind of something that's worked out for us. And in a position group where really you need to see the game the same with as many eyes as we've rolled through there. I think that's one of the good things that we've had is they've all seen it the same way so far. So I think that's been positive.
We asked you about that, just a little follow-up on that. I think we asked you about that rotation, a dozen or so times this year. Are other teams doing that in the NFL? Maybe we just haven't recognized it?
I would say not as much as I've noticed. No, you'll see some guys roll through certainly from that aspect of it, but majority of teams no. I think it was probably something a little bit unique to us earlier in the year, but I think we had some really tight competition, with that and with those positions and. Like we talk about all the time, it's competition every week. We want to make sure that we're competing every week for those spots out on the field, and I think those guys knew that in the offensive line, and I think they tried to step up to that challenge. And in the end, we needed it. You don't like to have the injury situations, but we needed it, and those guys were able to step in and kind of not miss a beat, which is something as a, on the flip side of that, from a defensive perspective, you always look for that. You look for those situations where, all right, these are new guys into the lineup. They're going to have trouble with communication, identifying different fronts, different looks, and these are areas that we now maybe defensively can attack. And I think that's one thing that's been positive for us is that consistency of not giving away maybe some of those situations.
Has Terrell shown you enough in his spot starts this year that you think he could be a full-time starter next year or 2 years from now, whatever it may be?
I think, right now he's done a really good job of just going out and doing his job and playing to the level of what we need him to play for in whatever position, whether it's left or right. And with those situations, or we've had a couple packages here where he's gone in as the, the extra tight end in some of those groups too. So I think every year is different. I think every year, we'll see what happens next year with next year. That's for everybody, but I think right now he's doing a good job of trying to do everything he can to help the team in whatever role he's asked.
Just one more follow-up, I guess, on the line. With seeing the game through the same set of eyes, you keep using that phrase.
Yeah.
How much of that falls on Frank on the center to sort of help coordinate all that?
Yeah, that's exactly. I think that's exactly the point. Is when you have a center, and really Frank and Graham. Graham does that too, and he's had to do that this season into that role, and especially with changing quarterbacks. With that situation where Matthew obviously is so advanced with all of the communication and then what he sees and his communication with the center, whether it's Frank or Graham in that aspect of it. And then, switching quarterbacks through there, that consistency, that same set of eyes is critical, because if you get guys not on the same page, then you get some free runners running through the, the offensive line or through the protection and not having the quarterback on the same page. Those are things that really cause a lot of problems and headaches for the offense. So all of that with whether it's Frank or Graham when he's at the center position, or sometimes we do it from the guard position, depending on the game plan, coordinating with the quarterbacks is really critical, really, really important.
A lot of times games come down to one or two plays and seasons for that matter too. So have you ever, how do you think this season might be different had those penalties not gone against you in Green Bay in the first meeting?
Obviously that's a long time ago, for us. We don't really look back at that stuff. I think what I did after that game is the truth. I think, we looked at it and said, okay, well, forget those calls. Those calls are out of our control. Let's go through the calls that we know we could control better and the plays that we could play better. And let's look at that. And, how do we do that to help ourselves more so than rely on, something else from that aspect of it. Really just try to keep it to, control what we control and do a better job of what we're supposed to do and not, make the game come down to those type of plays. And that's really just in that specific game. Each week it's a new, it's a new week, and certainly, it'll be a different game this time around. Different from the standpoint of where they are, where we are, and what we try to do against each other. So, we just want to go out and hopefully play well.
You guys are pretty beat up at the linebacker position. If it comes to it, what's your confidence level in a guy like Anthony Pittman? Should you have to call him up?
Yeah, I think Anthony's done a really good job going all the way back to the spring and through training camp. I think he's someone that's shown me a lot of consistency and improvement. And certainly with those linebacker roles, a lot of responsibility in that assignment also comes into special teams. So that'll be a big part of it too. And he's a guy that's shown us that he's ready to go in the special teams category. He's able to kind of take on some of those challenges and be maybe a matchup type of player that can do some different things. That body type, that longer linebacker body type that can kind of do some of those things. So, we'll see how it all shakes out here. But he's a guy that I think has been around here and has worked really hard. And, I would, feel confident if we had to put him in some of those situations. Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Yep.